Hey guys, once again, we are here with another episode of Silverback Syndicate. I am the host, of course, X, and I have a special guest today, Miss Monica Rodriguez. Now, as you know, I am a big fan of females in the EP game, and I am constantly trying to remind you, especially you knucklehead alphas, that if you want to succeed, more than likely you will be following the trail of a woman in this game. So, Monica, I'm not going to boast your stats up too often before I let you speak for yourself. Please introduce yourself to the world that doesn't know you yet.
Sure. My name is Monica Duperon Rodriguez. I am the CEO and founder of Women in Protection LLC, but I'm also an author and also do a lot of, there's my book, The Discreet Professional. I've written a few other books, but this is the one that we're going to be talking about now.
No, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about everything.
Thank you. So I'm former law enforcement, went into executive protection kind of by accident and made a career out of it. And now here I am. Okay.
So, the obvious thing is, number one, people automatically assume that EP, law enforcement, military, it is an alpha sport. And when they think alpha, they think men. Mm-hmm. I like to break that glass window of perception and always make it clear, hey, listen, it ain't just for the guys. So with you having 30 years of experience with law enforcement, as well as we were a narcotics detective, correct?
Correct.
And then you also did SWAT negotiations?
Correct.
Okay. So obviously you like to play with people in their minds. If you were speaking to a young lady who is watching right now, they have no experience, they just have a little bit of passion, they probably go to the gym, they roll around with the guys pretty often, have older brothers, probably come from a sports background of some sort, and they're like, oh, you know what, I'd be interested in doing that if I knew where to start. Mm-hmm. Based off of your experience, where would you suggest they go?
Based on my experience, I would ask them to really take a look at what executive protection is. It's not for everybody. It requires discipline. It requires training. And like many other skills can be perishable. So I would really ask them to identify which aspect of executive protection is appealing to them, why they want to go into it. Mm-hmm. And then we can talk about what training they can go into. In-person training is highly recommended because you really need to know some of the physical aspects that are related to that. I'm trying to talk without my hands and I just can't do it. So
then talk with your hands. This is not a corporate setting. This is all vibrations and energy. So if you feel like, as long as you don't slap me, we're pretty good.
That's not going to happen.
It's natural to talk with your hands. Plus, you got the gel tip manicure with the chrome finish.
Yes. It's my color this year.
Shout out to the lady who did it.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you so
much. Or
a
guy, I'm sorry,
Yeah, it could have been. But no, it was a woman. If they really want to go into executive protection, they've identified that that's what they're really passionate about. They really want to explore that option. Take the training, do some networking, identify other women who are in the industry that can help them navigate the waters of executive protection, because we're also talking about a male-centric mm-hmm. industry. And so also being able to identify male allies and working with them.
So you mean guys weren't creeps?
Exactly. Exactly.
You could just say it like that. Get it around people who aren't creeps, because unfortunately it's out there.
It is out there. So. And actually, I addressed all of those things in the book. This book was written because I looked at a lot of the executive protection books, and I've read them. I own many of them. Mm-hmm. And they're all either about the person that's writing the book, mm-hmm. or they're about the industry and industry standards. And it's all of the basic fundamentals of executive protection, and with different spins by the different authors. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find anything that really spoke to women. And I can tell you, when I first went into executive protection, I really wish I would have had a resource like this that would be able to guide me through some of the things that I would be experiencing. Not that it was different than law enforcement, because that's also a male-centric career industry.
Most definitely is, and a lot of politics.
And I had to manage my way through all of that. And I identified that I had to pick and choose my battles. I couldn't fight every single battle. Every time I felt that I was being attacked, I couldn't go after them. And really what I had to remember is I could either put energy towards proving myself, or I could put my energy towards perfecting my craft.
Okay.
And I chose to start perfecting my craft and not listen to the noise, because it's not my reality. It's not my truth.
So what was your resource to fundamentally gain your hard skills? Because, I kind of fell into this industry. Like I was boxing and I needed a job so that I can go to the gym. At the time, all the guys went to the gym.
Right.
So I tapped into security, and it just developed into something else. I would think it's a little bit different being a woman. You have to sign up and do things 10 times harder than, the average Joe Schmo.
Right.
So for you, what did you do to, like you said, you wanted to work on your craft?
Yeah. So this will take me all the way back to when I first started in law enforcement, because I was already getting a lot of hard skills through law enforcement. And what I decided to do is to become an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And if I became an instructor of defensive tactics, I did evasive driving within law enforcement, that set me to another level that made me that put me at a different level than the average female police officer.
Understood.
Okay.
The ones just clock in, clock out.
Exactly. In addition to that, I was doing jiu-jitsu 4 hours a day. I was running 20 miles a week.
Well, you got time.
Which was 2 hours a day. I was running, and I was also taking Krav Maga and Agana, which is very similar to Krav Maga. And I felt I needed to do all of this extra stuff just so that I could be at the level of what they would consider an elite male.
Mm-hmm. So my question would be, do you come from a sports background? Did you train at all before you got into the academy? You just cold turkey and just locked in?
Yeah, I actually used to, before I went into law enforcement, I managed a recreation center.
Okay.
The local recreation center in my town. And I coached soccer to 5-year-olds.
Okay.
I taught Spanish, and I used the gym. I used to run to work every day because that's what I enjoyed doing. That's how I kind of got into law enforcement. I had, police officer interaction on a regular basis. So they would come in, just kind of check the facility, especially when we had open gym in Chicago.
Shout out to Chicago.
Chi-town.
Some of the best food in the world. I was talking about that earlier.
Yeah. And they're the ones that convinced me to at least try going into law enforcement.
Okay.
Because it wasn't really in my cards.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you said that you would suggest, hey, not only what do you want to do in this industry, but why, Mm-hmm. One of the things I always say to any person who asks me about this, I'm constantly beating in their head like, listen, you're going to give things up in order to be good at this job. Not even to be successful, just to be good. Mm-hmm. You're going to sacrifice a lot, right? So in the male industry, we get away with a lot of things that a female agent doesn't have to deal with, right? Like, I'm a father, but dads, they're usually walking away from the family, coming back, doesn't mess up the ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. You as a woman in the industry, what is your work-life balance? Like, it may not necessarily be kids or family, but like you have to find something to take you away from this, right? What is your go-to? Because earlier off camera, you mentioned the place where you live now and how you fell in love with it. So like me personally, I'll go somewhere, all right, I'm out of here. I'm not trying to live nowhere crazy, but I also come from a more tropical touristy place. So I don't have a need to want to say, oh yeah, I love it here. I think I'll move. Like I don't have that battery in my back. You have that bug. So what does your work-life balance look like?
So for me, I really love to write.
Okay.
And perfecting that craft now is what I've really started to focus on. When I was very active, I did a lot of meditation. I did yoga. If I had to start at 6, I was up at 4.
Okay.
If I had to work till midnight, I was up till 2 because I had to have that little bit of time to decompress. Journaling, did a lot of journaling. And the occasional
do you still have the books?
Yes, I still have all my journals.
Okay.
I started journaling when I had children.
Okay.
I have 2 boys.
All right.
Who are adults now, by the way.
Okay. Are they in the industry?
No, they're not.
Did you keep them away from it or?
No, I didn't try to direct my kids in any one direction.
Okay.
I wanted them to find their way based on what they love.
Okay, cool.
So I didn't try to influence that.
I never thought about the journaling thing, but I'm as far as decompressing, like I've tried the meditating thing. I just go to the beach and like sit in the water, let the salt water take over. That's
very nice.
But there's a lot of chaos in my brain. I don't know if I can do the whole yoga thing and be quiet. I'll probably lose it.
Well, the thing about meditation is it doesn't have to be for a long time. Even if you just give yourself 2 minutes of breathing time, where you just breathe in and out in silence, and you just focus on your breathing, that's meditation. That's
did you start the meditating and the journaling as a law enforcement personnel, or did you wait till you were EP side? Like, how did that go for you?
I was doing that for a long time. Even before my law enforcement days, I think it became more important and it had more significance when I was in law enforcement. And it continued on when I went into executive protection. Because when I first started executive protection, I felt very alone.
Okay.
I worked as a solo operator with a high net worth individual. Everything is confidential. So I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
I didn't know too many people in the industry. And so I had to figure my own way without really being able to talk to anybody.
Now, a lot of times I get guys who come from the private sector. Well, they go to the private sector and they come from law enforcement background, right? And, with law enforcement, you know your shift, you know your schedule. Hey, this is where I'm going to be, yada, yada, yada. But then once you do EP, it's not always like that, right? So we always tell people, find your niche, find your niche in the game that works for you.
Right.
You mentioned a high net worth individual. Usually they have a corporate structure type schedule. Was that what kind of like made it easier for you to transition from officer to EP? Like, did that help? Because you mentioned that you have two sons.
Yes.
And regardless of if you were married and the father was around or not, that has no bearing. Like, as a parent, you still want to be present. And I'm sure doing 30 years with a schedule and then going to something that's off the Richter scale, you probably were looking for something more fitting to your lifestyle.
So I would say almost everybody that I've worked with or for has been more on the corporate end.
Yeah.
And so there's an itinerary, everything is planned ahead of time. You know if you're going to be home for a birthday party or you're not going to be there. Of course, you have the occasional something went wrong with this detail. We need somebody. Can you make it? And we'll get you a flight tonight. You have to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to have your go bag ready and have some, stuff prepared. You have occasionally that. For me, it was typically somebody with an itinerary. It was not anything spontaneous. I worked for an entertainer one time who was also very much into having itineraries and didn't stay out late. So I won the jackpot when it came to that.
And the reason why I bring it up is because I meet a lot of guys, and not like I said, they come from law enforcement, stuff like that, and they're very big on they see EP and then they think celebrities. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, like, look, there's so many roles you can play in this that has nothing to do with celebrities.
Right.
And then they get with the celebrities and they get burnt out very fast and like, oh, no, I need this and I need that. This is important, blah, 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 blah. And I'm asking you so that you can give your perspective, because I want them to hear like, hey, listen, there's a route you can take that does not have to be with an artist.
Right.
It doesn't have to be with somebody who's always on the camera. You can make a very good amount of money. You can travel and see the world and actually have a schedule.
Yes.
Because what typically happens is they come into the game, they get with an artist, they go on this run, and either they burn out fast or they maintain for quite some time.
Right.
But then they get to that point where they're like, oh, man, I wish I had a corporate client and da-da-da-da. Because then they finally learn like, oh, corporate. Because a buddy of mine that he had an advantage that I didn't. I'm tall. So I can't really do a lot of corporate clients. It's not a very big thing. They tend to want to fit in more.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with my height, I'm just going to stand out. Like, they're going to either be like, well, who is he or who is he with?
Yes.
So this buddy of mine, he's a smaller frame, and I would always be like, yo, don't do this, don't do that. You should worry about corporate. Then he went and got tattoos. He put it on his hand. He put it on his neck. He has it on his head. And now he's at the point in his career where he wants that schedule. And he's like, oh, man, when you said corporate, I thought you meant like I have to walk around in a suit. And I was like, no. Corporate is just mainly their schedule and how they move.
Right.
And people keep getting that confused. Like, listen, you can have a life doing this.
I started off doing close protection for a church.
That's very big now, too. We need mega churches.
Yeah, traveling on mission trips. They paid all of my expenses. I didn't get paid. It was volunteer time for me, but I got a free trip out of it.
Yeah.
And I protected the key people of the congregation. And that's how I got in. Well, law enforcement's really how I got involved into human trafficking, anti-human trafficking. But that kind of took it to another place. And I bring that up because sometimes you have to, if you know that that's where you want to transition, and I would say this also to the women or anybody really who doesn't have the law enforcement experience, doesn't have the firearms and the tactical stuff, and they really need to get some of that. Mm-hmm. Continue working where you're working, but start volunteering at a church, doing their security, get in with their EP program, learn from them and travel with them. You start getting to know people. And I bring that up because I was doing that, and that's how I got the attention of this one individual who's a high net worth individual, reaches out to me and says, hey, what do I have to do to get you to come work for me?
Well, that's nice.
And at that point, it's like, stay in law enforcement, go work with this individual. We're going to travel the world. I think I'm going to take my chances and go travel the world.
And your kids were older at that point?
My kids were older at that point. They knew how to cook, clean, do their own things. They were actually on the verge of moving out. And I'm like, you know what? This is one of those opportunities that they don't come every day. Mm-hmm. It could never come again. And so I took it. And I've not looked back since then.
Rocking and rolling. Now, the traveling the world, you've been in 25 African countries.
Yes, and that's not even all.
Yeah, and I'm only speaking on the continent of Africa. I'm not talking about the rest of the world, which I'm sure you've seen. I've experienced Africa firsthand, and that is not a walk in the park.
No, it's not. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. So if you could talk to anybody about international travel, advancing, code of conduct, mindset. I mean, Africa is a very male machismo type place. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you being a woman and a foreign woman in that land, like, I know that had to be a hell of an experience, number one. And two, I know your mental had to be at such a elevated place where you were so locked in that for you to keep coming back, obviously these people had to respect you and you had to gain their respect. What would be something or any advice that you would give to not just women in the industry, but just any EP? Because like I said, it's a wild place. I learned so much before I even left the airport.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
it's one of those places where you're not sure. Well, for me, I wasn't sure if I ever really wanted to go to Africa. And then once I was there, I'm like, I want to come back.
okay.
I do. I actually enjoyed it. But I also knew how to prepare myself. So my advice to anybody who wants to do international executive protection, close protection, and they know they're going to go into areas like in Africa, you have to really do your homework. Doing in advance doesn't necessarily start when you land. If you're an advance agent, it doesn't start when you get off the airplane and head to wherever your client's going. It starts way before that. You need to start doing your homework. What's the culture like? What's the religion? What are their laws? What kind of things can I bring from the United States? And what kind of things can I not bring from the United States that is normal for me, but it's illegal there?
Yep. And what kind of shots or medical needs you may have before you go there?
Yes, because there's Malaysia, there's Ebola, there's all kinds of stuff. So you really have to prepare prior to. And if you're going to get the shots and get ready to go there, you have to do that. You have to start looking into that months in advance. And if you don't have months in advance, you need to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah,
before travel.
Funny story. My first time going to Africa, I didn't have months in advance to know I was going. This is kind of like, all right, in 2 weeks, this is what's on the schedule. Yeah. And you have to get this yellow fever shot. I'm like, yellow fever shot. So like, it was a mission to find a place to get it done.
Yeah.
And then I got the shot literally, if not the same day as the flight, like the day before. Horrible mistake.
Yes.
Because I had an adverse reaction to that shot. And it was literally like COVID on steroids.
Yeah.
And I got very lucky on the flight there. The stewardess gave me like a whole aisle. They saw it was just going bad for me. And, I was sweating and I felt weak and everything was coming out every direction. Yeah. It was horrible.
Yes.
And then yet I got to figure it out and still deal with the principal, still deal with their movements, still advance everything.
Yes. Horrible
Experience. So like you said, it is well before you get on that plane that you have to be prepared.
You have to know the language. Mauritania. I always bring up Mauritania because it's an area that's fascinating to me, and I enjoyed it. Would I go back? I probably would not go back unless I know I have a good team and I have the right resources on the ground. But I mentioned Mauritania as a good example because Mauritania is a dry country. And one of my experiences is that somebody on our, part of my client's entourage decided to bring a bottle of wine from the previous location that we were. And it was in her suitcase. It was not a big deal, but it was a big deal to them. Yeah. They confiscated it. She could have been arrested. She was fined. And that could have delayed things, but because we had a very good team, part of the team stayed with her and part of the team took the VIP to the hotel where we needed to be. So that he wouldn't be delayed. And so that's kind of how our trip to Mauritania started. And, I didn't want it to stay that way.
It can only go up. This is why we tell guys all the time, carry cash.
Yes.
Especially when you go to foreign countries where you can buy your way out of things. It sounds crazy. I know you see it in the movies where people are like, oh, I'll just give you and then that's how they get through government situations. But it's real life. You will have to buy your way out of fines, out of arrests, out of being held too long.
There's also some areas there's always going to be a language barrier. So you need to like brush up on whatever language is local in that area. If you are not going to be able to, you need to have somebody that's trusted and has already been, it's a verifiable, good resource on the ground to be a handler or to be with you, be with the team, so that they can be that buffer between you and the locals. Because if you don't have somebody who speaks the local language, you're going to get lost. It's going to be difficult.
Or set up.
and it's not advisable.
Question to you. I'm very big on local assets, whether it's domestically or internationally. Now, internationally, everybody knows more than likely you're going to need a local asset. Question is, how do you select a local asset? Because just because this guy was good for this team doesn't mean he's going to be good for that team.
Right.
And you're really putting your life at risk when you are entrusting in someone you probably don't know. It's probably a referral, and your standard of what you require for your operation is totally different than somebody else.
Yes, because the local asset may have been working with another team and they get recommended to you, but they're casual. It's just a vacation. You're coming in for a business meeting. You can't have somebody coming in and, dressed like they just came off the streets and they had nowhere to live or take a shower.
Yeah.
And totally different standards. So the way to vet local assets is going to your network, and you have your trusted network, and they'll be honest with you. Look, this person helped me. They were really good, but these are the problems I had with this person. Mm-hmm. And you need those people on your side. If you do not have that, then you need to really start looking at local assets and maybe even establish a relationship with them during the advance. But, there's also many things that could happen. Africa is like that. Mexico is like that. Brazil is like that. I have my go-to people in all of those. Colombia is like that. I have my go-to people. I've already established the connections, and I know that when I go to these people, I know I can trust them. I vet all of their people. I know they're telling me that they're all vetted. I want to see all of their credentials. I want to see their resumes. I want their bio. I want a photo. I want to know how to get a hold of them. I'm not going to reach out to them. That's not my objective. My objective is to just get to know this person as much as possible. I need to do my due diligence. I know the companies do their own, but I need to do mine now.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a little nugget, right? So in her situation, she says, use your network. If you are a person who is in this industry and you get thrown in the mix into a situation where you're going to internationally travel and you're not experienced enough to actually have a network, a trusted network that's actually had this type of experience. If you're going with an artist, let's say you're going on a tour or a show, the embassy, you can contact the U.S. Embassy in that local area and they will give you the information. Promoters, I usually don't use the promoters because you never know what they have set up. But if you're with an artist and it's a Live Nation show, you have a Live Nation rep. You can contact your Live Nation rep. You can contact Live Nation Security.
Right.
They have a whole team for the region, and they will give you proper assets so that you can maneuver and get around. Now, I gave that to you for free. I know people are going to get mad that I gave this information out for free, but I did. I hope you utilize it. That's just a free nugget because, yes, your network's extremely important.
It is.
But sometimes
you're right, the embassies are key as well. The other reason why you should know somebody at the embassy, or at least make contact with somebody in the embassy, is one, you need to get their, and I'm going to give this for free as well. You need to get the off-duty phone number for off hours. For that contact person. And in addition to that, you really should know, no matter where you are in the world,
you should know where it's at.
You should know where it's at. Because if you end up in a situation where you have to run there, you have to walk there, or you have to take a taxi there, whatever it is, you know where it is. And you should know the routes.
And it's probably going to be one of the most secure places in that country.
Yeah.
Because one thing the U.S. does is they're gonna have their guns ready at that embassy gate. I've done several details where I've had the hotel set up close as possible to the embassy because dignitaries come. Where do they stay? They're going to stay at a 4 or 5-star hotel.
Yes, they are.
And they're going to stay one close to the embassy.
Yes.
So you can't go wrong if you find out where the embassy is.
Yes.
So yeah, y'all just got some free game. Use it wisely. Okay.
Yeah.
That is definitely key. It seems like you're very disciplined in putting things in motion, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F. Are you naturally like that, or is this something you had to work on as a person? Because like you met me earlier, you see, I'm batshit.
Yeah.
But when it comes to work, I'm lit. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like that, but you know, it's just I take my work a certain way, and my personal life is totally different. I wish I was disciplined like I am for work in my personal.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of like my way of decompressing.
Right.
Because I don't go on very short runs. Like when I'm gone, I'm gone. So it's a little different for me. But how does that work for you?
I think I've always been that way. I've always been a planner. Ever since I can remember, I've planned out my life. And I've realized because of all of my planning.
Not all of it, because you didn't plan EP.
Because I've realized that there's these off ramps that kind of take you in a different direction.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't realize that you took a wrong turn, or that you took a turn that maybe took you in a different direction. And it's like, oh, you know, I kind of like it here.
It's only a wrong turn if it's a dead end. Otherwise, it's just a good detour.
And it's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity for growth. And yeah, I never even knew about executive protection. I started to learn about it when I was in law enforcement doing work in Guatemala with the church. That I realized what I was doing. I thought I was just being nice. And it's like, yeah, you pay for my trip and I'll be your security guard. I didn't realize what I was doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, little by little, that's how I ended up really learning about it. But going back to your question, I've always been a planner. And I have learned from some of the detours, and there's been a lot of personal growth in some of those detours, but I wouldn't change anything.
So I'm going to ask you a question, right? Like, we make these plans, we advance, right?
Right.
And we're expecting things to go one way. And then that client, they decide to take too long or do this and deviate from your plan, and you're bringing like, how do you deal with that? Because early on in my career, it used to drive me nuts, and I would let it affect my energy eternally, not externally, but internally. I was losing it, and it was, you know, it would stress me out, and then I would be way more fatigued by the time I got home because I'm biting on things that I can't control. And you, like you said, you're naturally. So how do you mentally deal with that besides the yoga and the journaling? Like, how do you check yourself on those moments to be like, okay, let me just take a step back. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. That's first of all, take a deep breath and say, it's okay. We're going to pivot. In order to get to that point where you are okay with saying it's okay, it's an entire mindset shift. Complete shift. Because coming from law enforcement, you're used to a hierarchy.
Protocol.
You have protocol, you have SOPs. Not that we don't have SOPs in executive protection, we do. And if you don't, take a look at what some of them are, take a good course, because they're very important. But everything is very structured. As a police officer, when you're on your beat, you get a call, you know what the call is, you know what kind of danger you're walking into. And sometimes you don't know how severe the danger is, because if you're going to, let's say, a domestic, husband's outside, wife is inside. Okay, not a big deal. You know what you're getting into. But then it escalates And it's like, okay, now you have to be prepared for that escalation. But you know what you're going to. In executive protection, you don't always necessarily know what what's going to happen. Now, this is where risk assessments and advances come into play. Risk assessments are something that's continuous, and you conduct these in order to try to understand and forecast what kind of threats you might be going into. But there's a lot of ambiguity because, like you said, the client may be scheduled to go to location A, but then decides they're going to go to location D, and they're going to meet with a bunch of other people, and you don't know what kind of risk levels they're bringing to the table.
I hate that because like you have your motorcade set up, you're feeling good, you're feeling great. Then the client's like, hey, yeah, so we're going to meet such, and they're going to pull up on us. Okay. Yeah. Now we're dealing with their car. Now their car is in the middle of our motorcade, and we don't know this driver. Yes. And it's just a friend is driving. It's not even a professional driver. And now I got to like, oh my God, it drives me nuts. Or, oh, they're just going to get the car with us. Yeah. Okay.
I think part of that mindset shift is understanding that your schedule, your planning, your itinerary, even though it's theirs, right? But you've been working with this itinerary, is not exactly yours. It's theirs. Our job is to make their job easier. Our job is to be their eyes and ears. Our job is to be there regardless of whether they're going to lunch or to their meeting, or if they decide not to go anywhere and they want to just go to the beach or the casino.
It sounds like trauma when you said casino. That's just a little bit of trauma. One of the ways I deal with that is I get very close to not the lower level staff, but like the assistant, the CFO, somebody who knows not only the client, but the ins and out of the schedule and the client and the people that they deal with. Yeah. That way I can be like, hey, so what do we got going on today? Who's going to be around? How do they know this person? That kind of makes my day easier. Especially if it's like a repeat offender, and I call them a repeat offender, meaning like it's a person who comes around and it's going to always disrupt whatever's going on. I have a client that I know that this one friend, and whenever they're around, it's going to be some type of chaos or stupidity. So I'm already mentally prepared. I'm like, all right, it's going to be a long night. Listen, this is what we're doing. We're going to prepare for all of this because I know such and such is going to be around. And that typical behavior of him affects my client, and this is how it's going to go. Right. Corporate wise is probably not too bad depending on the client, but it is just an easier way to gauge how you can continue your advance and make your pivot without shooting yourself in the foot or pissing off the client, because clients don't like to feel controlled. Right. No, they don't. They don't even want you there. Exactly. Most of the time. Security is not a tangible thing. You can't touch it, feel it. They can't even see what they're doing. Yeah, they can't see what they're doing. And so that's another problem that military and law enforcement kind of have a hard time with when they come into executive protection. They're used to when they accomplish something, they get a pat on the recognized. Back. Here, if we're doing our job right, you might get fired from it. Nobody's going to notice. If you do it too right, you might get fired. I'm like, oh, there's nothing ever happens. Let's cut the budget. Like, right. No. And so that's part of that shift of the mindset that needs to happen when some people transition from another career into executive protection. They definitely don't understand that, and a lot of people get offended. They get offended when the budget isn't as high as they anticipate it to be, or they don't feel that the compensation matches what they're bringing to the table. And I always say, well, if the table was full before you got there, how do you expect them to see you fit? Like, what are you truly bringing to the table? Yeah. Your job is to make the table look like it's always been the same. Yeah. And that's how you know you did a good job. So it's like a catch-22. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Right. But you have to be mentally okay with that beforehand. One of my issues I always have with former Leos, when they move to the private sector, I'm like, listen, you have to learn how to operate without the badge. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, it's a mindset. You're coming from a position of power because you have a badge.
Right.
And then you're coming from a position of need because you have a badge. Something goes wrong, call 911. Boom, I show up. Hey,
Right.
hate me or love me, you called for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like-
going to take care of this situation.
Exactly.
I got this under control.
With the client, you have to learn to let them be the master at all times.
Exactly.
While you're figuring out a way to get them to move how you want them to.
Right.
Open-ended questions. How does that sound? I learned that. I used to sell cars.
Really?
And I used to sell cars. I worked for Mercedes for a period of time.
But at least there was a good brand.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shout out to Mercedes, even though I had to get rid of mine because I'm never home. But one of the things that I liked was they were so specific about their brand. They do not let you represent them until you know every part of their history, what, where, and why they do things.
Right.
Right. And then they teach you how they want you to sell their brand. Right. And there's specific things that they tell you, hey, we don't do this. This is how you do this, and this is why. And they know that their market of people comes from a certain psyche, certain mindset. If you're asking somebody to spend $75,000, $80,000, $100,000, you need to know how to talk to them.
Absolutely.
Right. So I literally just took that same procedure that they taught me, and I do it in EP.
Yes.
So whenever I want someone to do whatever I want them to do, I will pitch what I'm giving them. I'm giving them the problem, the solution.
Right.
Right. And I also give 2 or 3 other options, but they're all my options.
Yeah.
Because this is my A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And I look them dead in their face and I say, well, how does that sound?
Of course, because now they have to choose something. Right?
That's it.
That's the art of negotiation.
Now they chose, in their mind they chose, but realistically, I had already picked it.
Exactly.
I just need you to pick which one works best for you based off what you think, and then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But in reality, I already made the choice.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just the little things you can do to get around that art of war, you know, never outshining the master.
Right.
You
Don't look better than them. Don't try to outshine them, but speak their language.
And not to sound sexist, I really believe women are the best at it.
Thank you.
There's so many times I'll be on an advance call and we'll be going over something, and it's their venue, it's their location. So, you know, you only can say so much, even though they're being very tolerable, especially when you deal with the European countries, because they'll kind of be like, oh, whatever you need, we'll just do it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But when you give me that much control, now I'm like, wait a minute, but this is your stuff. Like,
Right.
you're supposed to help gauge me. But a lot of times I'm dealing with a female staffer, a woman's running the venue or running the show. And they're always mind fucking me. They are all, and I know it's happening. I see it, but can't do nothing about it because, like, hey, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Yes, you are right. I'm already falling. They're just using my move on me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the skill sets that you have. You don't even know you have.
And that I actually covered that in the book.
Yeah.
Because women from a young age are told to be careful, look who's around you. Maybe that's a bad person. And you start to learn how to constantly be looking over your shoulder. You know, I feel like somebody's walking behind me. I need to get my keys out of my purse so I can have something. Or if I have, you know, pepper spray, or get prepared. But you have that awareness. So situational awareness comes naturally to women. But we also have a very discreet way of doing executive protection so that it's not so obvious to the rest of the world what we're doing. At least that's what I try to teach.
Yeah. Because it's customer service at the end of the day.
It is customer service.
So many times you're going
it's-
to punch and shoot somebody.
We are professional concierge. We are travel agents. We are travel security. We are security. We are protection. We are, you know, the first responders. You have to really be on top of all of that. And the way to do that is continuous learning. You learn by going to courses in person and by reading books. And then you take what you read and you try to apply it. And then you take another course. And even at my, you know, I was working at LinkedIn as the head of executive protection and global event security. And I went and took a beginner executive protection course. Not because I needed it, but it's always good to have a refresher. And if I'm hiring new people, I need to be contemporary in my craft. And I need to know also what are they teaching in these courses so that I can also identify which one I want my people to go to.
Oh, for sure. The game is always changing.
So the basics, the fundamentals of executive protection is something that, it's not something that you move past. It's something that you learn and you continuously keep going to it. And the people that I've trained that have really succeeded in executive protection are the people who keep going back to the fundamentals.
You have to keep. It's like a person who goes to the gym but can't do a push-up. Mm-hmm. It's the most basic exercise you can do,
Yeah.
but you're going to the gym.
Yeah.
How are you skipping that process? Another trick I do, and I take advantage of human psyche and behavior, is whenever I have any events that I'm working and I know that the crowd can be somewhat rowdy, I take the older women and I put them at the most important pass point.
Uh-huh.
Because nobody's going to disrespect their aunt or their grandma or their mother. Mm-hmm. And those women do not play that. There's a lady I call Suge Knight. She works at the Barclays Arena, right? And there's an artist entrance at Barclays. There's only two ways you can get in through an artist entrance, and she is always there. And she knows who I am. She knows why I'm there. I have all the creds in the world, and she does not care. She is on my ass and everybody else the same way every time. Mm-hmm. And to me, that is the ideal guard. Mm-hmm. You know, consistent. That is the name of the game. Consistency. Can you show up and present yourself in this way every time?
Right.
Regardless of who is coming through that door, can you be respectful? Can you follow the protocol? Can you engage with them at a level where they don't feel like they can just run over you, but they also don't feel disrespected by you?
Right.
And then she says all this stuff, and then she smiles. The same way you just giggle and smile. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Nobody's gonna do that to their aunt or their grandma. I don't care who they are. And I've seen the biggest gangsters in the world, and they get to them old way. Oh, hey, yes, ma'am. Whatever you need. Are you now? They catering her. Hey, get her a chair. Are you good? Mm-hmm. It works every time.
You know, I think one of the things that is a terrible misconception with people who work in executive protection is that they have to be hard-edged.
No.
And that they can't, I mean, so hard-edged that there's no warmth. There's no room for warmth or empathy. And I can tell you that the most professional people that I've worked with and some of the most successful EP agents that I've worked with are the ones that have emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. They care about human behavior, to know enough about human behavior to understand how to guide the person in front of them so that we as professionals get what we need without harming them or putting them down or what have you. And I feel like many times a lot of women who are going into or transitioning into executive protection, they feel they have to be so hard-edged. And they have to be like the guys. And one thing that I'm going to tell all of you women out there is we don't have to be like the guys because we have our own value to bring to the table. And that is our power.
Well, here's another thing. If I wanted a guy, or if I wanted the energy of a guy, I would hire the guy.
Right.
I would hire a guy.
You have 5-6 resumes of guys, good guys. They look like they have, what you need, versus 1, maybe 2 female applicants. And if you choose one of the females, then they need to bring to the table what they naturally bring.
Well, what's the sad part and what I hate in this game right now is there is a demand for female EPs, but unfortunately not enough of them are putting themselves out there to be found. They're not looking for networking with other guys because they have this natural predetermined thought that, oh no, they're just going to da-da-da-da. Like, no, we want and need you guys.
I think part of the problem is that thought process that, they're not going to pay attention to me anyway. Or maybe I'm just not good enough to be able to sit at that table. And the other aspect of it is, and this is for women in any industry, doesn't matter what level, all the way to the top. Most women will not apply for a position unless they know 100% that they have everything that is required for that job. Versus a guy, he's like, I got 60%. I'm going to throw it in there anyway, see what happens. They're the ones that get the job.
I call that dating.
Oh my God.
We're gonna shoot our shot, baby.
So, my advice is always identify what you're missing, start working towards getting that, but still apply for the job.
Yeah, because we can sometimes just teach. A lot of times we want to teach you versus you coming in a certain way because I need you to operate
the way I want you to.
The way I want you to.
Or the way our team operates, or the way the client wants us to operate, which could be different than the next team. There's also a need to be flexible, to want to learn the different methods, the different strategies from team to team, from company to company, from entertainer to faith-based organization. You have to be able to adapt to each one of those methodologies. It's almost like being a chameleon.
Yeah, you have to be. I have a frat brother. He's probably 5'2". He's the director of security for a major company. Mm. If you looked at him, you would never think security. If he walked around with that same mindset, he would have never applied for the job.
Right.
It's like you have to understand that what you think it's supposed to look like doesn't mean that that's what it really is. Like you have to look behind the curtain.
And the other thing, too, talking about perception, is most women who are traveling with CEOs, for example, or high net worth individuals, you're looked at as an assistant or somebody within the entourage. You're not looked at as a security. The first thought, if I walk into the room, the first thought people think is, oh, she's part of the entourage. The first thought is not, oh, she's security.
And that works
I use that to my advantage because their perception of me is my advantage because now I can get away with more, getting more information.
Because they're going to spill the tea. They're going to talk trash.
Because they have no idea. I'm part of the security team and you're giving me everything that I need. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And using those type of things to our advantage is key for us being successful as women.
Yeah, don't think you're just going to be babysitting the kids or out with the wife. I mean, some dignitaries, some cultures, that is something you need, Right. I've worked with many Middle Eastern royal families, and I always follow the rule. I'm very cautious about speaking to the wives or any woman in that situation, even the nannies, like no eye contact. Don't, speak to this guy or don't get in a room alone. Like if you see them alone, you stay away. Like,
right.
Don't, like it's little stuff like that.
Yes.
But if I was a female EP, I get to do whatever I want because it's not taboo. Mm-hmm. So be okay with that position. Don't be like, oh man, I'm just stuck with the kids. Like, no, the check is still the same. Now women have egos too.
Yes.
So
yes.
you have to take your ego out of the mix.
Absolutely. The ego does not belong here. And the ego is actually what can get some people in trouble, not just with their team, but also with the client, or can also get somebody hurt. The ego does not belong in the room. It needs to be checked at the door. Not
at all. So we talked about your book, The Discreet Professional. Okay. Now this is a book for women in close protection, but if you are an EP of any sort, male or female, you should be reading the book because you are going to learn something. So I want everybody to check it out as soon as they can. You want to tell them where they can find it? I'm sure it's on Amazon.
It is on Amazon, and come May, it'll be available on hardcover pretty much anywhere.
And do you have an audiobook as well? Because, a lot of us...
I do not currently have an audiobook yet.
Okay.
But it will come out.
All right.
That's more towards the end of the year.
Zoom in, screenshot it, Amazon, take a look, get a read on. Hard copy in May, audio probably by August. I'm going to put pressure on her and make that happen. Now, I'm going to transition to something that we don't normally talk about on my platform, but I'm not scared to speak about it because it is a real issue. Missing children, sex trafficking. It's extremely important that we are all aware and that we discuss these things because I literally just got an Amber Alert yesterday for a missing child in South Florida. And then also this morning, I went and saw somebody had a missing child in northern Florida. I had a buddy 2 weeks ago, Brito. He posted a missing child that was later on found, but the social media worked to put the word out, and we had people from all over looking for this one child. So I just want to get into it with you about your experiences, your platform, and how they can reach out to you and try to help. Because I think the more people that have eyes on the issue, the better of a chance of us saving some type of child, if not the ones that are missing, our own children. You know, I have a 19-year-old daughter who, you know, she's not a homebody, but there's times she goes places. You know, having her location only matters while she has the phone.
Right.
What if she's in a situation where she doesn't have her phone and the abductor takes her phone, and now, you know, my kid is the one on the news and I'm lost. I don't have any resources. I don't know what to do because I never opened my eyes until it happened to me.
Right.
I don't want that to happen to other people. We're all watching. We're all parents. Please tell me.
So I only write about things that I have experienced personally. Everything that's in this book, The Discreet Professional, I actually put some case studies of situations that I was actually involved in. This book is very near and dear for me because, yes, we're talking about missing children. We're talking about children who are being sex trafficked. We're talking about runaways who end up disappearing for 2-3 days. Still, the fact remains that the parents are in anguish, desperation, anxiety. They involve law enforcement. In many cases, they don't feel law enforcement is really doing enough to help them. And if the missing person is being sex trafficked and they're 18 years old, there's less pressure to find them versus a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old. So you need to have some resources. You need to know what to do in the event that you find yourself in that situation. Now, beyond being in law enforcement and having been a detective and done all these really cool things and having traveled the world in executive protection, I actually go over a situation where I ran into where my son at 9 years old went missing.
Okay.
And I was already in law enforcement. And so I knew to contact law enforcement. I knew some of the procedures to go through. But as a parent, taking off the law enforcement cap and putting on the mom cap, it was excruciating to wait and wait and wait and look. And, you know, law enforcement gets back to you as much as possible. I'm very fortunate. My son was found at 4:00 in the morning at a park. He was sleeping on a bench. He's 9 years old, got lost. He didn't know how to get home from school, missed the bus.
Well, at least he
went the wrong way, but he was found.
Blessing in disguise.
So I speak from experience when I talk about the feelings of a parent as they're going through all of this. And I had the benefit of knowing the procedures because I was in law enforcement. But if somebody doesn't know what to do, if law enforcement's not taking them seriously, this book outlines what you should do next.
Okay.
This also outlines parental abduction, especially when we're talking about parental abduction to another country. I've had the opportunity to work with clients who have had children removed from the United States by a parent, taken to another country, and not only locating the child. So I was involved in locating the child, but I was also involved in the court proceedings that needed to take place in order to force that other parent to bring that child back to the United States so that they can go to court hearings here in the United States. And I talk about the Hague Convention because the Hague actually has agreements with several countries where if your child is taken to any one of those countries, they are the ruling body to help facilitate
On an international level?
On an international level, who should have the child, how we're going to go through the proceedings or the court proceedings going to be in the host country, or are they going to be in the home country?
See, I didn't even know they had a entity like that, honestly.
And so I actually outlined this here, and the list of countries are listed in here. This is a very short book. I think it's like 28, 30 pages, but it's 28 to 30 pages of a lot of information. There's no pictures. It's just information, because this is a very serious issue, and it's also an issue that is very near and dear to me. So many girls, children are sex trafficked a year. It is the second most profitable business next to firearms.
And one of the reasons why I made sure I brought it up, a part of my history, I'm going to give you two folds. Number one, I ran away 3 times as a child. Mm-hmm. And when I look back on it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell was I thinking? I did that 3 times. And I remember the first time it happened, I was in elementary. And it was a big deal, but I didn't know this. Like all the counties, all the cops, because I went missing from school. And I remember the officer came and he goes, I want to see the kid that made me come all the way from Broward County, all the way down here, just because he wanted to play. He was pissed. Mm-hmm. And, you're in elementary. You don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah. And then I did it again in middle school twice in the same week.
You're poor parents.
Mom, I'm so sorry. I apologize all the time, but we here now. I did that. And when I think about it, I took away the resources from a child who really needed the help. Because what typically happens is when a brown or a black child, girl or boy, comes up missing, instead of them assuming that it's a abduction of some sort, for whatever reason, we always get tagged with the runaway. And when they tag us with the runaway, then the investigation stops.
Yeah.
So I want to make that quite clear. When you walk in these stores at Walmart and all these other places, and you see those signs up and you see those kids' faces and it says runaway, that's not always the case. Majority of the time, these children are missing. Yeah. And the abductors are okay with taking the brown and the black girls because they know more than likely the family situation isn't set up that they know their rights and what to say to officers to make sure that their children get found. Right. So please do your due diligence when you get those Amber Alerts, when you're in those stores, just take a brief moment to look at those photos. Mm-hmm. Because you can help save somebody. I think it was ABC, they did a testing, a social experiment, what you call it, where they actually had the missing child standing right outside the store, not even 10 feet away from the sign that says that they're missing. Yeah. And nobody noticed because people are in their own bubble. Yeah. And that's extremely, extremely sad.
It's
right?
sad.
And then also, there's a period of time in my career where I have worked in gentlemen's clubs, whether I was managing or working the front door or whatever I was doing in those clubs. At some point in time, you speak to these young ladies, especially when ones are coming up looking for a job. Right. And you start noticing things. You start noticing that there's always a guy outside waiting on her every time she gets dropped off. She's like, oh, that's my boyfriend. And you're looking at her and she has a baby face. The ID says she's 18. Right. And you kind of just have to let that be. But every once in a while, that guy that's sitting in the car, that's quote unquote the boyfriend, he comes in and he's watching her and, creating a hostile environment in his own little way. Sometimes they even put hands on these young ladies. Mm-hmm. And you feel for them because you want to do something, but then you're also taught to mind your business. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And you being a former law enforcement officer, you know what happens when you show up to a domestic violence case and you can clearly see that she's in distress and she's been abused. Yeah. And yet she stays. Yes. And yet she's going against you when you try to protect her. So I say that to say this, like, just because they're in that club, in that environment, or on that pole, does not mean they want to be there. Right. There's so many different layers of sex trafficking. So even if it's not a child, when you see those young women who are very, very young, and they're usually this big, and the guy's always lingering, and you're just like, you don't understand it. You should, if your moral compass is on the right track, say something, ask a question, and there's nothing wrong with it. Right. Like if you have a fallout from it because you were wrong, so be it. Right. I'd rather be wrong than be right.
Exactly. And it does take a little bit of courage to go against what you're constantly being told, which is to mind your own business.
Yeah.
We need more people that are willing to kind of take that leap of faith and say, you know what, this just something doesn't feel right with this, and I need to report it somewhere.
For sure.
So in this book, I also go over, I wanted to just kind of circle back, and I also go over the cost of trying to find a child. Because if law enforcement doesn't do their job, which in some cases I have seen them just completely drop the ball. And I'm former law enforcement, so I know the process that you're supposed to go through, and they just kind of, don't worry about it. She's going to show up. She'll show up tonight. Don't worry about it. And it's like, no, I'm not going to wait. And they need to really make that very, very clear. If you end up hiring a private investigator, it's very important to identify a good private investigator, and also understand that it's going to cost money. And so there is even a higher cost. It's the emotional toll that it takes on the family, and then there's the financial toll that it takes on a family, and it can be very costly. So if you familiarize yourself with the process early on, even if you don't think it's ever going to happen to you, you may run into somebody within the neighborhood that's going to need this information, and it's important for you to give that to them. At the very minimum, give them the information, because even information is valuable.
Speaking of information, I want you to go ahead and look into this camera, and I want you to tell the world where they can find you, get in contact with you, because I know you're big on mentorship and and counseling and giving to the next tier of generation that's trying to get into the mix. One of the reasons why I do this podcast is because I want to highlight people who should be go-to sources, especially the females in this game. My aunt works with me. Yeah. I don't say she works for me. She works with me. I make no profit off of her, but I put her in every position possible because she is the best asset I've ever had in my company in regards to EP. She was former law enforcement, BSO. She runs a tight ship. She's well respected. She's like a 3rd-degree black belt. I'm terrified of this lady. and one of the most crushing things that I hate is that I know she is more qualified than 90% of the guys I send on EP jobs. But because of the stereotype that the client may have, she doesn't get the opportunity.
Right.
So I just want to make sure any lady, even guys, if you are a fella, you should be hitting up Monica, because she has the information, she has the experience, and she can give you things that can help you excel your career. So let them know where they can find you.
Sure.
And make sure they respect your boundaries of reaching out.
Oh, of course.
Because you know how we are. We'll reach out at 3 a.m. if we can.
Yes, I learned that a long time ago. So you can reach me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under Monica Duperon Rodriguez. You could also find my website through my website, which is www.monicaduperon.com. And if you just want to shoot me an email, you can shoot an email to Women in Protection at proton.me. M-E.
And all this information will be posted on the links on the YouTube channel as well as Instagram. And when you see her face in the intro, it's going to have her social media tags. So please reach out. This is another episode of Silverback Syndicate. I want to thank my guest, Monica, coming all the way from across the globe for this moment in time. Just remember, together, apes strong, and we will see you again shortly. Peace.